Chat, we in here. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. What time is it, YouTube? It's time for the Master Key program. We up in this piece, man. Shout out to everybody in the Chizat. All my Master Keys. Yo, yo. Welcome in. Thank you for coming in. We're gonna do what we do. All right. So, Brittany, where we at? Where we at, Brittany? Where we at, Brittany? Shout it from the rooftops, Brittany.
It's the Master Key program. Good Lord. It's the Master Key program. We in this bitch. Time to pay attention. Time to listen. Time to get this stuff going. Get your mind interested. We're going to tell you something that's going to make you learn. We're going to tell you something that's going to make you learn. Something that's going to make you not earn. Something that's going to make you go up and not burn. This is the Master Key program. Welcome in. Pay attention. Beautiful souls, welcome in. Good Lord.
Good Lord.
Amen.
Chat, what's good? I just started watching you and everything you speak on is Destiny resonate. Yeah, definitely resonating for sure. That means you are sold. You're activated. My name is Jay Originator, and we gonna break down this matrix in here. Shout out to everybody coming in. It's the Master Key program. Guys, last episode we talked about the spiritual war. You understand that you are a spiritual soldier in this army. All right, you chose to come into this reality to awaken the souls that have been here asleep, reincarnated. If you don't understand that, go watch the other lives and catch up, man. I would advise you to watch all of these lives and get all of this in your mind. Share this with people who are of the same mindset, people who are waking up and seeing this matrix for what it is. So, guys, I hope everybody's been doing good since we last met up. This is the Master Key program. It's me and Brittany. We in here. And tonight, chat, we're gonna continue to talk about, okay, you woke up in the matrix. Life after the wake up, building your algorithm. All right, you woke up in the matrix. What else? What am I to do now? I know I'm in a simulation. I get that. How do I integrate from living a regular basic bullshit ass life that I don't want to live into me accomplishing my dreams, doing things that I want to do, experiencing this physical in the way that I am supposed to experience it. All right. We're talking about that tonight. We're getting into it. We're gonna give y'all some good details where you're gonna be able to come back and rewatch this live and study it. It's Friday night. We up here. Shout out to YouTube, man. I love y'all. All my YouTube people. Shout out to y'all. Everybody that's tapped in with me and Brittany. Brittany, is there anything you want to say to the chat before we get in? You want to give them a shout out or something? You want to show some love? What's up?
Absolutely. What's up, family? Shout out to everybody tuned in right now. Whether you're watching from TikTok, YouTube, wherever you're at in the Matrix, you're here for a reason. If you found this live, it means your consciousness already hit that frequency checkpoint. Nick? You're not just scrolling, you're remembering. Tonight's conversation is about taking that awakening energy and doing something with it. Because it's one thing to realize this is the Matrix, but it's a whole different level to learn how to operate inside it with awareness, to actually build your algorithm, reprogram your loops, and design the version of life you came here to experience. So let's tune in, lock the energy, and take this conversation deeper. Jay, let's get into it. What part you want to start with first?
All right.
The integration after wake up or the algorithm building process?
Let's start off with the plan. All right. So, chat, you wake up in this reality and you understand that this shit is a matrix. You start to see the code. And when I say code, you start to see the patterns in people. You're starting to notice people are not everyone is operating in the consciousness like you are. All right, you start noticing that some people are operating in patterns and loops and they say the same shit. They're just NPCs, right? You start realizing that, yo, I am really in the fucking matrix. You come to the realization that you are not the body, you are the soul inhabiting. What's up, Starburst? Right? You come to the conclusion that you are not the body, you are the soul inhabiting the avatar. All right, you start to realize all this, and once that happens, life starts to, you know, you start going through it. All right, you go through the waking up situation, and then you wake up and you realize, fuck, yo, I'm outside the matrix. But when you wake up, life doesn't stop lifing. Meaning, the job that you used to have or the job that you have, you still have it. You still got bills coming. You still got your babies and shit crying, your family issues. You still got all the problems that you had before you woke up in this matrix. All right. This is to the sleeping giant. All right. We are specializing in the sleeping giant right now as a star seed, the ones that came here to wake up the sleeping giants, you're probably in isolation right now. All right, you're probably in isolation, and you're probably manifesting shit at a high level as a star seed right about now. You're probably really digging in and learning the power that you have as a star seed. But as a sleeping giant, you have been reincarnating and you're just waking up and seeing reality and you're remembering for the first time in eons. All right, now this is hard for you type of souls because you have been stuck in the matrix for eons. Now, how do you integrate and leave the matrix and start to lose your power? All right. All right. So you said people that, yeah, for sure. Right. How do you leave? How do you start to gain your power? Right. How do you start to do it? So let's get into it. Brittany, let's talk about this. As a sleeping giant, integrating into outside of the matrix after you have been reincarnating for lifetimes and lifetimes, you just woke up, you realize, you remember you're in a simulation. Why is this so hard for them to figure out how to go against all the programming and how to start living a life really outside this matrix, like they see others, like maybe star seeds or individuals who haven't been reincarnating in this reality? How does that work? I'm not reincarnated, baby. I'm not reincarnated. You know what I'm saying? I've already ascended Earth and I'm coming back to do this. Stay in your place. You a kid. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Now, there's three types of souls in this reality. Let me give you the sauce on that. Right? You got the star seeds. The star seeds, they ain't never been on Earth. This is their first time here. This is why it was so easy for them to wake up. All right. You got the sleeping giant. The sleeping giant is the soul that has been reincarnating. Y'all are the ones that been caught in the soul trap. The whole reason the spiritual war is going on. This is a spiritual war about the souls that have been reincarnating and reincarnating and reincarnating, trapped in the soul loop. All right. When this war broke out, souls stopped coming to Earth. Souls just started coming back to Earth in the last 60, 70 years. All right. It's been all reincarnates, a loop. All right. So the star seed, how they understand that this shit is bullshit and they just know it because this is their first time here. They came to lift the frequency of the planet so you can see through the layers of the matrix, so you can see the code, so you can see the bullshit. All right. Now, a lot of y'all are sleeping giants. You have been reincarnating. All right, this is why it's hard for you to wake up. This is why you want to run back to religion so bad. This is why, it's hard for you to figure out how to manifest and do shit without working a job because you have been reincarnating in this program for so long. You have to remember how to activate your abilities. But for the star seeds and the ancient souls that have already ascended and chose to come back to help the spiritual war, this is hard. All right, this is hard. Um, Now, how do you know that? Now, let's talk about this, right? Before I let Brittany talk, how do you know that you are a star seed? For one, you know you a star seed like this. You've always been popular, but you never fit in. All right? You've always been popular, but you never fit in. Two, you feel like Earth is ghetto. You knew that Earth wasn't your real home. You knew that Earth wasn't your real planet. You knew that this was a simulation years, like when you was in fucking high school. You knew this shit was a sim. You knew it was some. You just knew. You understood that you wasn't a human. You was just inside. This is how you know you a star seed. How and you came. You chose to come back. You as a star seed, you have to wake up every day, look in the mirror, and know how badass you are. This is why your life has been hard. Why you have been attacked spiritually your whole life because you came here to rewrite the code, to rewrite this reality. All right, you came here to rewrite this. So you gotta understand that you are a spiritual galactic warrior who chose to come to Earth for the specific purpose of taking our construct back. All right, that's what's going on. That's your duty. That's your position in the war. And this is how you gotta understand. As a star seed, things gonna happen easy for you because once you wake up and activate, your reward for even choosing to come here in this time, right? Because the Matrix is literally a soul trap now, right? It wasn't always a soul trap. When I came to Earth, when I came to Earth and I ascended from Earth, Earth was not a soul trap back then. This was a place where souls uh where we built pyramids. We knew that we were souls coming here to ascend. We understood how to manipulate energy and all of that, right? We was free. The spiritual war broke out, and the archons, the low vibrational entities that have enslaved Earth, and how you can tell everything is in a state of low vibration. This is why they are constantly pushing these low vibrational things at you, right? These archons, they came and enslaved this reality. When they did it, there were certain ancient souls who were here trying to ascend that got caught up in the reincarnation loop. They couldn't escape it. Now, you got to understand, y'all that have been reincarnating, y'all are literally the entities that y'all worship. That y'all are, some of y'all are them, right? The entities and all of these ancient beings, that shit is you. Literally, it's you. All right. All these beings are you. You are an ancient soul that's been reincarnating and reincarnating. You forgot who you was. You think your ass a human being. All right. You're not human. You're a soul inside of a human avatar operating it. All right. Thank you so much, Smoke Detector. All right, so you got to realize you are the entities that you are seeing all over this shit. All right, you just have been reincarnating and reincarnating. How do you know that you are a sleeping giant, an ancient soul? The whole reason this war is going on. How do you know? You feel like this is a prison. You wake up some days and you just don't feel free. There's an underlying feeling in your soul. You understand that you have been trapped. You feel it. All right, you just feel it. You just feel like, yo, fuck, this shit feels like fucking prison, bro. I just don't get it, right? How else do you know you're a sleeping soul, a sleeping giant? You have had uh visions of or dreams of cities on Earth that you haven't visited in this lifetime. You have seen other lifetimes. All right, you on Earth. Okay, you have uh hold on, chat. Let me get you up out here, man. You keep asking me crazy stuff. We want to do religious stuff in here. All right, so you gotta understand this is what happens, right? How else do you know that you are ancient soul? You get out the loop Like you'll run away from religion, you'll start seeing through it, and then all of a sudden something hits you, and then you run right back to the church. You run right back to the family traditions and family loops, and it's like because you have been reincarnating and you are comfortable with that programming. All right, deja vu is a big thing. All right, so you gotta understand these archives hijacked the reality. You got trapped. You have been reincarnating. The star seeds, indigo children, and all types of souls that have recently just now started back coming in the matrix for the purpose of this spiritual war. We realize now, guys, why do we choose to come? You gotta understand the matrix. This is all technology. This place was literally created for us to come and learn lessons, to ascend as souls. This is why everything that's constantly happening in your life is uh predicated or circled around a fucking lesson. There's always something to be learned in life because life is built on lessons. Now, yo, if you need to catch up, I urge you to go binge watch these lives and learn. All right. Now, what happens is we are at war. We realize we have to come in. We have to take our construct back. We have the ability to rewrite our reality, change the narrative. We lift the frequency. The low vibrational archons cannot feed. They start to die off. They leave, whatever. They go somewhere else, right? We defeat them. Okay? Everybody is free. All right. 111's in the chat if you understand the mission and what's going on. So this live is predicated, this live is directed towards the sleeping giant, the star seed. This is for you because you have already, as a star seed, you're gonna know because you're literally understanding that you manifest everything. Now, for the sleeping giant, you're trying to figure out how do I fucking manifest? How do I do this? I can't remember how to do it. Please help me. I woke up. I know I'm in the matrix. I'm tired of fucking working. I'm tired of living a regular life. I want to be able to like be free in this reality. All right. What the fuck do I do? Let's get into it. That's what this live is about tonight. The integration after the wake up, and how do you handle your business? How do you jump into it? All right, let's tap in. Brittany, go ahead and break it down.
When somebody wakes up to the fact that everything they see is part of a system, the first thing that hits them is shock and disorientation. For lifetimes, their awareness has been funneled through the same human programs, family conditioning, survival patterns, cultural codes. When that veil lifts, all those programs are still running in the background. And that's why integration feels so heavy. Here's what's really happening in that moment. One, your old operating system is collapsing. For thousands of thoughts and habits, you've been using an unconscious code that says, this is who I am, this is how life works. When awareness hits, those programs start to break down.
All right.
The body, the mind, and the nervous system still try to run them because...
All right, chat. Right now, what is happening, you are seeing through the illusion. You are understanding this shit is bullshit. All right? The religion, the chasing these fake ass jobs. All of this shit is bullshit. You're seeing it. Right? But what happens is you have been so accustomed to keep going. Your old operating system is collapsing, but your nervous system and everything wants to continue to live this bullshit ass life. Because you got to understand, your whole life, you have been a fucking human, not understanding that you are way much more. And to sleeping giant, you have been doing this shit for lifetimes. I don't care if you're 21. I don't care if you're fucking 88. If you a sleeping giant, you are an ancient being. All right?
it's familiar. Two, the body is still plugged into 3D reality. You can remember your multi-dimensional nature and still have rent due, people to care for, or a job to show up to. The soul has expanded, but the avatar hasn't caught up yet. Integration means teaching the body how to live in alignment with the new awareness rather than rejecting the 3D altogether.
Boom. You still operating in human code, meaning you still have these programming issues where, oh, I gotta work to get money. You still believe that. You still don't think, you still seeing money as something that is tangible, not understanding that money is only energy that's manifested into the physical form. You got to come to the realization that, yo, this shit is not real. I'm in a dream and I know I'm dreaming. So what does that mean? The dream becomes lucid. This shit is whatever I want to make it. You have to really embody that and know. You gotta understand. You're seeing the code, chat. You're seeing the patterns. You're seeing the everyday the same shit. You're seeing the loops. You gotta accept it. You're in a simulation. This shit be simulated. It's choices rendering series of events simulated. All right, you got to come to that conclusion and really accept that and take that in. This is how the 3D starts to lose its power, that grip that it has over you. And now, damn, instead of working a job, you are able to, oh, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to set my intention on this. And you are starting to see it happen in real time because you're using your willpower. You understand that this reality is what you make it.
3. The Matrix uses memory loops. Every time you act from fear, guilt, or self-doubt, you feed the old loop. Every time you make a decision from love, focus, and discipline, you build a new timeline. So integration is literally about replacing the loops, conscious line of code by conscious line of code. 4. Starseeds versus long-term reincarnators. Some souls chose to incarnate here only a few times. Their awareness of the system is lighter and they remember faster. Others have been here for thousands of years of cycles. Their code is layered with centuries of human conditioning. That's why it feels harder. They have to unlearn more data before their higher operating system runs smoothly. 5. How to begin regaining power. Observation. Stop judging the matrix. Study it. Awareness gives you leverage. Deprogramming rituals. Journal. Meditate. Fast from toxic inputs, media, gossip, substances. New inputs. Feed the mind frequencies that match the life you're building. Affirmations, clean food, clear intentions. Daily structure. Anchor the spiritual awareness with physical habits. That's how the new algorithm locks in. Emotional mastery. When triggers show up, use them as opportunities to rewrite emotional code instead of reacting. So when someone says, "Why is it so hard after waking up?" it's because their old software is still trying to run inside a new consciousness.
Right.
Integration is the period where you uninstall the obsolete code and install the updates that match your higher frequency. That's the foundation, Jay. Where do you want to steer the convo next? How to actually start writing the new plan once you've stabilized after that shock, or how to protect your frequency while you're reprogramming?
Yeah, so let's get into this. We're gonna get into both of those topics, right? So, boom. All right, guys. Drop 111 in the chat if you understand that you are indeed in a simulation. You have woken up, and now it's time to rewrite reality. All right, let's get into it. Right, let's talk about it. So we understand the shock phase, right? We just talked about the shock phase. Um, when you wake up, the shock of seeing it, and you're like, okay, what do I do, right? Um, let's talk about the observer shift. Let's dive into NPC awareness, frequency, clarity, how emotions, loops, and synchronicities show your vibration, and let's talk about that first rule: don't panic. All right. Let's talk about this because, guys, what you got to understand, and understand, you are literally changing consciousness. You're having a conscious shift. Now, conscious shifts, if you let it get the best of you, right? This is something that it's not easy. It's not easy waking up and realizing that people that you loved your whole life are a part of your simulated reality when you have believed it. It's not something that you just, oh, and then it's normal. This is something you have to work at. And if you're not able to place yourself in isolation, to have that stillness of your own place, and you're constantly around beings that are a part of this matrix, it could drive you mad. All right. It could drive you mad. It is very unpleasant. All right. So, how do we protect ourselves from the shock phase and going into these other awareness aspects of this. Now, when I woke up, guys, my wake up is not going to be like everybody else. Obviously, I play a position in the spiritual army, in the spiritual war, to help people remember. I'm not teaching you. This is just, we're going through a debriefing. We all, star seeds, we sat down and we talked about this before we chose to come back this time. This is for the sleeping giant. This can be very hard on them because they have been reincarnating for years and lifetimes. So imagine when they see it, it's a whole different, because we've known it since we was kids, right? I've known this been a simulation for years, and I've always acted like it was, right? Since I was in fucking high school, middle school type shit, right? So you got to realize when you have been asleep and this has been your world for not just this lifetime, but lifetime before that, and before that, you gotta be careful on how this happens. So, Brittany, let's get into that and let's talk to the chat about that and really dive deep on that.
Right, this is the place where awareness turns into mastery. When that first layer of shock settles, what starts next is what I call the observer shift. You realize you're not just the person experiencing, you're also the one who can watch the experience. That small bit of distance is the key to staying sane. Here's how it unfolds. 1. The observer shift. The moment you can say, okay, I see my reactions happening, I'm watching my thoughts, you've stepped out of the program. You're not.
Boom. When you come to the real realization that life is a mirror in your simulation, okay? You got to come to that mind. You got to develop what I call the main character mindset. Now, what does this look like? When you are operating in main character mindset, this is you understanding that this is your world and everybody else is living in it. All right. And this is in the sense of saying you understand that this is your simulation. Your life is your simulation. Now, what does that mean? What is a simulation? That means it's a simulated experience. That means you're experiencing something based on certain data. All right, you're experiencing something that's based off data. Where does this data that create your experience come from? It comes from your mind, your beliefs, your thoughts, your vibration, and your perception. This is what creates the input for the algorithm to simulate your reality around you. All right. Now, when you develop this main character mindset, right? This is an understanding of your back is against the wall. You're looking at the whole world and you're understanding, and overstanding. You are the main character in this movie. Everything else around you is a part of the movie. So, everybody, everybody around you, right? Right, is a part of your simulated reality. If you are online, everything around you is a part of your sim. Now, you move and you navigate, right? You navigate through the simulation and you find other active conscious beings like you. You learn how to measure consciousness by understanding the difference between NPC consciousness and real conscious soul. Okay, there's a big difference in NPC consciousness and soul consciousness. Once you come aware, you can't miss it. Once you become aware, you cannot miss it. Understand, awareness is the key. The hard part is over with. You woke up. That was the hardest part. It wasn't guaranteed for you to wake up. Now that you have, you done did the hardest part. Now it's about stabilizing. You have to develop the main character mindset when you are moving and navigating through this simulation. And how does that look? To make it simple, put it in a one-liner. Everybody is a part of the matrix until they prove that they are not. Everything is a part of this simulation until it proves that it's not. All right. Let me get people out. Give me 1 second, Chuck. Get you out of here. Uh-oh. I think I put the wrong person in timeout. This goddamn button. So I'm sorry, sweetie. I didn't mean to put you in timeout. Let me put this person in timeout. Goddamn bot. These goddamn bots be coming in here with these crazy distractions. All right. So develop the main character mindset. This is something that you must activate. All right. Does everybody understand what that means? My bad, Ari. Anybody understands what that means? Not everyone is an NPC. Some you can see their old soul. All right, guys, 80 to 90% of individuals in this plane are NPCs. Everybody is not an NPC, but that is for you to be able to navigate. Understand the simulation is something that you have to navigate. All right? You have to navigate it. It's full of lessons, distractions, rewards, and things like that. Okay? How do you navigate this? Through choice. All right? A choice, a situation comes, you have a choice. You navigate through input, output, cause and effect. All right? Somebody says something, you respond, they give you a reaction. All right? A situation comes, you got a choice, you make the choice, series of events follows back depending upon the choice that you've made. That's what this simulation is about. It's about navigating. All right, understanding and how are you navigating? You have to have awareness and be able to see the difference between real conscious beings, souls, and NPCs, and also souls that are asleep, meaning hijack players that are actively souls. They are real, but they have been hijacked by this reality, and they are either asleep. All right, you got to understand that. So when you're doing that, this is what this is what you got to see. All right, you got to be able to navigate. Keep going, Brittany.
Lost inside the movie. You're the one in the theatre seat noticing the movie. That space gives you control. Every time something triggers you, pause and ask, who's watching this? That question pulls you out of identification and back into command. Two, and
All right, so you have to realize your reality is a mirror. Your data is coming from your thoughts, beliefs, perception, vibration, and frequency. All right, that controls everything that's going on around you. If you want to be the baddest bitch in the world, or whatever, you got to believe it first. You got to have it in your mind first, and then it comes. All right, so life is a mirror. All right, understand that. Boom, let's keep going.
PC awareness. When you wake up, you'll notice repetition everywhere. People repeating phrases, ideas, emotions, patterns. Don't let that make you cold or judgmental. See it like this. They're still running the base code. Their script is automatic. Your job is not to argue with scripts, but to understand them. That understanding allows compassion and keeps your frequency clean. The moment you react with anger or superiority, you drop back into the loop.
All right, NPC awareness. When you wake up, you will notice repetition everywhere. People repeating phrases, ideas, emotions, and patterns. Don't let that make you cold or judgmental. Understand, what's up, Ben? Understand that these people, right? These people don't have free will. They don't have a choice. They are script. They are running script. Okay? Understand it. All right. Understand the programming. Understand why this programming is in your life. What lessons is there for you to learn? All right. All right. Understand and overstand that. What's good, bro? All right. Um. Yo, chat. I hope that there's. I hope that you souls are really understanding and taking this in the way that I'm dropping it down. Um. You know, and because guys, look, I'm so outside the matrix, right? And you know, I'm kind of like a mad scientist in a little bit, in a little way, right? I'm all the way outside outside of the matrix. So I'm able to identify programming. And now this programming it runs deep. All right, there's layers to the programming. All right, you break one layer of programming, and then you can even be programmed in being outside the matrix and seeing this matrix programming it jumps on you, man. Right? So, like be careful that you understand exactly what NPCs are. NPCs are not evil. They are not demons. They are not something that you should hurt or want to beat up. They are simulated beings. They are sims. They are human beings who only exist inside of the construct. They only exist inside the matrix. They don't exist outside of this reality like us, right? As souls, we exist through time and space outside of this reality. We come here to learn a physical. The NPC is only in your life for you to experience physical life and to understand lessons, to learn lessons. NPCs teach you lessons. All right, you gotta realize that this is nothing. No, they don't know they're NPCs. They think that they're real. They don't know that NPCs exist. This is why they believe in religion. This is why they can't see the code. This is why they don't understand that life has an algorithm. This is why they are the way they are, because this is their real world and they are programmed from this reality, meaning they are not here to wake up. They are not, it's not that they're not real, they're only real in this world. All right. Um, so you gotta understand and understand that what an NPC is, man. A lot of times we make this shit too difficult. All right. A lot of times we make this shit way, way too difficult, chat. All right. And it's not that. Because you gotta understand when you start thinking, oh, they're demons, oh, they're this, they're that, that's matrix programming creeping back up on you. You gotta like with this shit, you gotta see it from a cold eye. You gotta just see it for what it is. It's not saying that you shouldn't love these people, because NPCs done taught you love, right? A lot of times NPCs taught you what love isn't. So you know what real love is. You would have never learned that if an NPC ain't come into your life and do some weird shit, some program shit. You see what I'm saying? NPCs are the reason that you learn, and they are how you learn. They are part of the simulation, and they are how you learn. All right. Um, if you're wondering if you're an NPC or not, that's you're not an NPC. NPCs, they don't even think that they're NPCs. That never goes through their mind. They're never gonna wonder about it. None of that. So, guys, you gotta start seeing this for what it is. This is not for you to be against. You have to understand you are superior, right? But you don't move in that, right? When you have awareness that NPCs are NPCs and you are outside of this matrix, you can begin to understand how to deal with them in a way where you know their programming. Once you can deal with a person without them tweaking and NPCs operating program, know how to know the programming, know the input, meaning know what to say and what to do around them, they will act accordingly. When you when they give you a situation and you do the wrong input, you get the wrong reaction. And then you get the lessons going in how it goes. All right. You gotta understand how this goes, chat. Now, of course, it's gonna be a lot of bots coming in, trying to distract and all this weird shit. That's what the Matrix does. But see, like when you are outside of this reality, you can see the programming. All you got is literally right here, chat. Look at what some of these people are saying. It's literally NPC programming. Really, literally. And bro, this reality, accountability is a key like awareness. Will you take accountability of understanding that everybody is in your life the way that they are for a specific reason or a specific lesson, either lesson or distraction? That's how it goes. Um, this is going this is going to resonate with those who it resonates because this is in your genetic code, man. This ain't nothing that we gotta really go at. But I just want y'all to really understand the NPC. The NPC is not in your life to be evil. They are running a script. They don't have free will. They don't have a choice. All right. You gotta understand the programming, and as the creator that you are, the programmer, the coder, you can rewrite that code for that NPC and have them operate in a new programming. This is how you operate. All right. You got to understand that you are the most powerful being of your reality, and everything in your reality, in your sim. You are the master player. Once you take that power, you literally be able to create. All right. So, like Tyler, you're saying pawn of the devil. That is heavy matrix programming. All right. Not, that's heavy NPC matrix programming, right? Blaming everything on devils, Satan's, and all that type of weird shit. That's matrix program. Okay, so yeah, like basically this shit ain't hard, chat. This not hard at all. You see the code, the pattern that they're running. They're in your life, right? Like for example, right? You meet a guy or a girl and you really like them, but then they show you out the bat that they're a weird like cheater type, right? Or you catch red flags about them. You supposed to see the red flag, identify it, walk away, right? You don't. You go through a long relationship, you learn, you get your heart broke, they leave. You find somebody else, they show you the same red flags. You know you supposed to leave. You see it plain as day. You decide I'm gonna stick around again. Same situation happens. These NPCs come in your life to teach you lessons. The lessons loop unless you show the system that you've learned the lesson. You walk away, you level up. You level up in life. You stuck in the relationship, it reinforced a loop. Now you done stayed with this NPC that done showed you a red flag. All of a sudden you're pregnant, or all of a sudden you done got her pregnant. Now you have kids. Now this loop is reinforced. Now you're stuck deeper into the loop. You know, well, you should have just walked the fuck away from the beginning. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, all you gotta do is, understand that, you feel me? You just gotta be the main character of your joint. Somebody said, write a code for some cash, right? Why? You was a random ass person in the comments. All right, Brittany, keep going.
Yourself. 3, frequency clarity. Every feeling you have is a
So,
broadcast.
chat, you gotta understand, right? When we start talking about important shit in this matrix, what happens? The distractions come heavy. You see, this everything is spiritual, chat. And I know a lot of y'all gonna be like, yo, you tripping. But when we start talking about a certain shit, all of a sudden, so many motherfucking negative people come in and they start talking crazy and start trying to disrupt the live. You gotta understand, that's not random. There's nothing random in this reality. That's simply a distraction that's trying to throw you off from the chat. That is literally the pattern. If you've been rocking with me and been in my lives for a while, you can almost predict when that will happen by the certain things that I talk about. This is how you understand it's all patterns and loops, right? From here to TikTok. When I start talking about these NPC shit and breaking it down, what happens? They flood and they start doing the same thing. You can see the pattern, chat, all the time. It's the same exact pattern. This is how we know this is literally a part of the simulation. All right, let's keep going, Britt.
Joy, fear, doubt, peace. They're all different radio stations. The outer world tunes itself to whatever station you're on. So when you notice synchronicities or repeating events, That's your feedback system. Life is literally showing you what frequency you're broadcasting. Things flow easily, you're aligned. Things keep breaking or repeating, you're looping an old code. Use those signs as information, not punishment. 4. Loops and synchronicities as data. When you catch yourself in a repeated situation, don't say, "Why does this keep happening to me?" Ask, "What is this trying to teach me about my frequency?" Synchronicities are the opposite, they're confirmations. They say you're in sync with the updated version of your timeline. Both are forms of data coming from the same system. 5. First rule, don't panic. When awareness expands quickly, the body's old programming interprets that as danger. Heart racing, confusion, insomnia, all normal side effects of consciousness recalibration. The worst thing you can do is fight it. Instead, ground, focus on breath, walk, stretch, feel your feet. Simplify, eat light, drink water, avoid too much input. Anchor, remind yourself, I am safe. I'm
Chat, listen. When you find yourself in these high anxiety moments, which may happen when you step outside the matrix, you go around and then you start feeling all this NPC weird energy, you start being drained, and then you get anxiety and you don't want to be around nobody and you just want to retire to your cave. Listen, when you find yourself in these moments, just think. Just think about me. Be like, yo, what the fuck would Jay do? You know, when I find myself in crazy situations, I think about y'all. I be like, yo, I don't feel like doing this shit today. But you know what? This is my duty. Somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to wake up today. There are people coming through this portal. I can't miss a day that's not prescribed for me to miss. Right? So when you find yourself in these high situations, be like, yo, I am the main character. I am the main character. If you gotta walk off, go somewhere, regroup yourself, and go back into it, understand this is your world. This is your world. When you understand that this is your world and everybody else is just living in it, yo, you feel me? Guys, these NPCs are so disrespectful, man. They just come in talking shit. All right, let's keep going, right? Let's talk about it. All right, so you woke up, you seen the code, you done stabilized, you accepted it, you're not going crazy no more. You're like, okay, I'm in the matrix. I'm gonna do what I need to do. Right. Right. The audacity of these goddamn bots. Right? You understand that you are inside of the matrix, and now it's like, yo, all right, I see it. What am I gonna do? Right? Let's talk about creating a plan. All right, let's talk about that. Your personal blueprint to change this reality. You're tired of working, you're tired of this shit. You gotta have a plan, dog. All right, you gotta have a plan. You gotta create an opportunity for yourself. When you make a plan, this is you creating an opportunity. You gotta create your first opportunity. All right. And so once you awake, your mission is to build a structure into your new awareness. All right. Let's talk about the framework into the next life system. All right. Let's talk about defining your vision. All right. What reality do you want to live? How do you want to live your life? Get the vision of it. What lifestyle are you trying to live? How do you see your life? Right? Clarity over the chaos, how to turn a vague dream into a coded structure. All right, the system equation, the output goal versus the input, the actions, and the frequency that it's going to take for you to get there. All right, priority mapping. What priorities? How do I got to switch my priorities now to make this happen? All right, all of this has to happen because your life is already the plan. Is you have priorities. You have certain shit. You can't have the same priorities that you've been having in the Matrix and get pulled out the Matrix and still have the same Matrix priorities. This is not going to work. So now your life, you have been reborn. You've been pulled out the Matrix. Life is new. You have a restart now. You're seeing the code. You're seeing this shit. You're understanding people are NPCs. You don't want to fuck. You don't want to fuck with nobody. You just don't feel like fucking with this shit no more, right? Boom. Life is new now. You got to change your priorities up. You don't want to keep doing the same shit. Well, you can't keep having the same beliefs and thoughts and same shit that you was doing that led you into that. First, pull it back. Who am I? What do I actually like? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? What you know what? Let's reevaluate everything in life right now, motherfucker. Today, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm about to figure this all out. Yo, what is my type? What type of girls do I really like? What type of food am I? Do I like to eat? What the fuck? What do I like to do? Art. What do I like to do? What do I believe in? What is my belief system? What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? Right? Priorities. What matters in my life? What matters in my fucking life? What really matters to me? Not this societal shit, not this motherfucking what people think. What do I care about? This is things that you all got to come to the table when you get pulled out the matrix. Let's go, Brittany, break it down. Right, right, there you go. Mastering self, building routine, facts. And this is how you got to come to this shit. You got to come to the realization of, yo, I am not who I was, bro. I'm not that. I am not that person. Right? Jay, I'm not that Jay, bro. That was a human lost in the matrix just moving through this bitch. I'm awoke now. I can't keep identifying with who that was. You just evolved. You got to understand your old life is not your old life. You got to switch all of this. All of this shit happens. Let's see what Brittany says, chat.
That's exactly it, Jay. That right there is the moment of full consciousness recalibration. When you wake up and see through the code, your entire operating system has to update. Because now you're no longer running off default programming. You're stepping to intentional design. So when we talk about creating your plan, we're talking about rewriting your own algorithm. You're no longer reacting to the simulation, you're coding your way through it. Here's how I want the chat to see it. 1, the blueprint, the vision. Before you can alter the matrix, you've got to see the new structure clearly in your own mind. Ask yourself, what reality do I actually want to experience? What would my life look like if I didn't have to conform to any system rules? What kind of people, environments, and energy would surround me daily? That's the output. That's your new file. 2, the input equal the frequency. Now you've got to match your energy to that new file. Your actions, thoughts, and emotions are data inputs. Every single one of them sends a command into the simulation. So if your vision says abundance, freedom, creativity, but your frequency still says stress, survival, doubt, you're running a mismatched code. The system can't read it. You've got to rewrite that vibration line by line, shift your daily habits, speak your new language, align your emotions with the life you see. 3, priority mapping is reality maintenance. Once you wake up, you can't live with matrix priorities. Your time, your energy, your attention, those are currencies. You invest them where your next timeline grows. Ask, what deserves my time? What drains my frequency? What activities and people actually strengthen my reality? You cut the noise and you concentrate power. And lastly, 4, self-audit mode. That's when you look in the mirror, like you said, and you ask, who am I really when the programming shuts off? That's the moment your true source code activates, because the real you existed before the simulation. And when you get that clarity, when you know that clarity and what your frequency stands for, that's when the matrix stops.
So, chat, what you gotta realize is, you gotta understand, man. Understand, overstand. Once you get pulled out of the matrix, life is not gonna be the same because you are not who you're trying to be. You're still trying to be the same you who was hijacked, lost in the matrix, walking around thinking this shit was real life. You know? So once you get pulled out of the matrix, you gotta figure out who you are. That's like on the movie The Matrix, right? When Neo was in the Matrix, he was just wearing regular clothes. When he got pulled out of the Matrix, this nigga had on a trench coat, dark glasses. You gotta become who you are now. Because who you were is not who you are. Your priorities is not the same. You don't like the same shit. You see in this world for what it is. You're just not the same no more. And I had to understand that. You know what I'm saying? I had to realize that stepping out of the matrix, I had to reprioritize what mattered to me. I had to ask myself, what matters to you? I had to ask myself, what do you like? I had to ask myself, what do you want to do? Where do you want to be? How do you want to live your life? When you come into that's the first thing you got to set out after coming in the matrix. You got to literally sit down and rewrite that blueprint. All right. Yo, chat. Thank you so much for joining me for this hour of Master Key program. We'll be back tomorrow to finish off this lesson. We're on segment 3. So tomorrow we'll be talking about feeding your algorithm, building up your algorithm to know how to make everything collapse into reality the way you need it to. Shout out to everybody that's locked in, everybody that's waking up, all the beautiful souls. Me and Brittany, we really appreciate your support and your love, and your trust. Thank you for letting me be able to drop this information to you and you consider it, take it in, and use it if you do. This is truth, and it will help you change everything that you need to change. I really appreciate my position in the collective and being able to speak to y'all, and for y'all to be able to see me and my soul and who I am to the collective. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you for being aware and who you are, waking up. Salute to the star seeds for choosing to come into this reality and fight on this spiritual war. Man, we can't get this shit done without y'all. Yo, shout out to all the souls waking up and remembering who they are, stepping out of this matrix. We taking this fucking construct back, yo. This is a virus to the matrix, death to the matrix, death to the construct. We are taking it back, and this is our shit. All right, chat. Love.